Everybody, and welcome to the third public meeting of the Review of U.S. Human Spaceflight Plans Committee. I'm Phil McAllister. I'm the Executive Director of the committee, and we are happy to be in Huntsville this morning. I say that just to remind us that we are in Huntsville because we've got several meetings in several cities, and sometimes we lose track. This is a public meeting. It is governed by the Federal Advisory Committee Act, which means that, among other things, that the discussion, the presentations, the comments today are all on the record. There will be a public comment period at the end of the day. We ask that people will come up to the mics at that period. It is at the end of the day. We ask that you don't ask questions for the committee. There's a Q&A portion of the website for that. We'd like to get as many comments as possible from the public, so we're going to ask that everybody keep their comments to about a 2-minute period. And for members of the media, there will be a half-hour session at the end of the day today with Norm Augustine, so your questions can be asked then. So again, let's try and keep the public comment period to public comments. In addition, if we don't get to everybody, and we probably will, we have at every meeting so far, but if we don't get to everybody, the committee is essentially available 24/7 via the website. It's http://hsf.nasa.gov. You can ask questions, provide comments, upload documents, and thousands of people have taken advantage of that feature, and we recommend that you do that as well. Please do not interrupt the presentations today or the committee deliberations or discussions. Again, we're going to try and keep the public comment period to that session. Please mute your cell phones. It's just like the theaters, the movie theaters. And also, transcripts for today's session will be available on the website, as well as video, a video stream as soon as we can get that up there, probably sometime early next week. So with that, I'll turn it over to the committee chair, Norm Augustine.
Well, thank you, Phil, and good morning, everyone. And not only those of you in the room, but those of us who are joining us on television this morning. We're very happy to be here. We've been working very hard on our project, and you can be assured that we take very seriously the responsibility that has been placed upon us. We have had an outpouring of comments, guidance, advice from the public, from members of NASA, from others. Extremely helpful, always strongly held views of very dedicated people, and unfortunately usually contradictory. And that's the challenge that I think that we face, perhaps our principal challenge. We have a very full agenda today. As you've heard, there will be time for public comments at the end, and we treasure that time, so we'll protect it. I'm not going to introduce my colleagues or myself to save time, but we have our name tags in front of us here, and on the website, I think there are some biographies if you have any interest in looking. We do have the website. We welcome, as you've heard, your comments. We receive emails. We Twitter. We do almost anything we can to make it possible to get input from the public and the folks at NASA and others who care, contractors and so forth. We have been given 90 days for our task, which is a rather minimal time for a task of this complexity. The reason for the 90 days is that the White House would like to match the budget schedule. And in order to do that, we have to be finished by August 31st, which means I would remind my colleagues that we now have 34 days left to work. Yesterday, you recall, it was 35, not surprisingly. We've divided ourselves into 4 task groups, if you will. The first task group is addressing issues associated with the current systems, namely the shuttle and the ISS. That task group under Sally Ride reported to us yesterday, and today we will hear from 2 other task groups. The other 3 task groups that we have, I should say, one is dealing with transportation from Earth to low Earth orbit, which of course is one of the major cost drivers of whatever we do in space. The third group is dealing with beyond LEO, And the fourth group is dealing with integration of any number of inputs, and particularly focusing on international aspects, on work for other government agencies, on commercial launch, if you will, and various other important issues, including, for example, the maintenance of a skill base for space. We've been holding a number of preparatory meetings in addition to this particular meeting to do our homework, and it's that homework that you will hear in part reported this morning. I think that that's probably all I want to say to keep us on schedule here. I would like to add just one caution to those who are in the room and those on television who are listening. That is that our group style is to ask difficult questions. We sometimes take a position we really don't believe in order to just draw out facts and test for the strength of various viewpoints. So please don't interpret anything we might say as suggesting a conclusion that any one of us might have drawn or that we might have drawn as a group. As a group, we've drawn no conclusions. We're precluded by law from doing that until later on. But I can also tell you that in the process of learning, even though many of us have been in this business for a few years, many of us are changing our views as we get more and more information. So please don't interpret anything you hear as a final view or as indicative of a final view, because you would be trying to read the minds of someone who hasn't made up their minds. And anyway, with that caution, again, thank you for your presence, your interest, and we will turn to the first item on the agenda,